Now, Lennon, your turn.
Yeah. So a little bit of a different background for myself than Jimmy or Christian. I'm a coach at Baseball Development Group, which is a performance center located up in Toronto. So I wanted to talk about how we've kind of come to use biomechanics in the actual training atmosphere and my kind of thoughts as a coach as I go through interpreting this data and then kind of communicating it back to the athlete. So I'll start with kind of posing this question here, which is why guess when you can measure? Because to me, that's really what biomechanics is all about, is trying to help coaches like myself have a better understanding of what is actually going on in the athlete's movements. In terms of the technology that we've been utilizing, we've been lucky to partner with ProPlay AI, as Joe mentioned at the beginning. So we've been using the Pitch AI markerless mobile biomechanics app for the last year. And this app, it's pretty robust. All you have to do is just upload a slow motion side view video, and then you get back biomechanical data for us. Now, once we get that data, what does our process kind of look like with interpreting it and getting it into the athlete's hands? The foundational kind of component is going to be an assessment. So here we're obviously utilizing Pitch AI to evaluate an athlete's movements on the mound, but equally important to us is understanding how they move off the mound. So every athlete that comes in will go through a full joint range of motion analysis on table, and then compare that back to the biomechanical data that we've captured. The idea there is that we're trying to understand how their movements off the mound are going to bias their movements in the actual pitching motion. After that assessment, we then integrate our findings into training by prescribing various constraint drills to target different inefficiencies. We're then utilizing the Pitch AI technology on a day-to-day basis to evaluate the effectiveness of those drills and how they change the athlete's movements in the pitching motion. Throughout this entire process, we're in constant communication with the athletes to kind of detail our findings, where they fit compared to other athletes, and really just trying to help paint a picture of who they have the potential to become. One of our main uses of biomechanics right now has been trying to objectify, our coach's eye. So common things that we've long bucketed athletes into or pointed out as a potential movement flaw, like a late arm or a soft front leg. Equipped with this tech, we now have the opportunity to attach some objective data to that, right? And the idea there is that we're able to create better definitions of these coachisms and have better consistency amongst our staff when it comes to assessing them. The next layer to that is obviously then researching these coachisms to see if they're as important as we claim or we think they are. Diving deeper into the reports, we can look at metrics like the kinematic sequence to evaluate how athletes transfer energy, and then metrics like shoulder external rotation and hip to shoulder separation that we compare back to the on-table range of motion findings. To me, one of the most exciting parts about Pitch AI and the technology, the kind of democratization of biomechanics, is that we're now able to utilize this tech in an actual training atmosphere. So with that access, what we've been focused on is trying to quantify what drills actually do and then create better systems for prescribing these drills to athletes. The truth is that we're well past this point of arguing about if this technology is useful or not. Everyone on the call can kind of recognize the value that this type of tech provides. So the emphasis shifts towards how do we use it, or kind of how do we get started. And to that, I think about the initial kind of question that I posed at the beginning, which is why guess when you can measure? To start using this technology, you don't have to have a PhD level of understanding. I certainly don't. I'm just a coach. But what you can do is look at the athletes in front of you, and when you notice something in their mechanics, maybe it looks like the guy's not getting a lot of that layback. What you can do is pull out your phone, capture a pitch, upload it to Pitch AI, and then evaluate if what you're seeing in the motion is actually, presenting itself in the data, and then use those insights to direct your coaching process. That's what we've been really trying to do with all these kind of quick hitting studies, like looking at the influence of pine tar or uphill throws on mechanics. We're trying to measure things that have been passed around in the coaching community for years, try to provide more context, more data, and trying to ultimately cut through some of our perceptions to figure out what is really going on. The last kind of component that I wanted to talk about is the communication aspect. So with any technology or data, this is a massive piece of the puzzle, but something that I think coaches can often overcomplicate. That's why I love to refer back to this quote. I think it poses some really good thoughts that we can kind of think about as we interpret it. to me, your athletes don't need you to regurgitate scientific findings. It's not about showing them the entire biomechanical report or telling them that they need to, abduct their arm more when they throw. Oftentimes that's going to just cause more harm than good. And at the end of the day, what the athletes care about is, how do they get better? And they want to feel confident that you have a plan to take them there. So it can be as simple as showing them a graph of, hip to shoulder separation and showing how much of a decrease they have into foot plant, and then telling them this is the constraint drill that we're going to use to target that kind of inefficiency. So sharing even just a fraction of this objective feedback does a fantastic job of creating buy-in, because it's stuff that we can continuously reassess, reevaluate throughout their training process with us. That allows us as coaches and athletes to stay accountable to the drills that we're using, the coaching cues that we're using, and really just objectify that training process a little bit more so than us just saying, hey, I think that throw was good or not. So that's really kind of what I have in terms of this kind of presentation about how we go about using it. Obviously, if there's any more questions about it, we can definitely dive in.